a quick overview of the Pega architecture BPM. I hope Ashok has shared the video with you yesterday regarding uh, the uh, the demo. So what we will do in today's session is we will try to understand what is BPM architecture. This is from an earlier class. I'm just using these notes as a reference. I'll share with you a class note which will be specific to you, all of you, so that we can post all your queries and doubts and everything into that. Okay. So what we will do primarily in today's session, I will show you, I'll just talk to you about what is a Pega architecture. And probably on Rasul's machine, wherein a Pega instance is already running, we can just build a sample application as well. We'll understand how to build a new application and how the entire Pega architecture looks like. Okay. All right. So the first thing that you all need to be aware is Pega is just a Java application. So internally it makes use of just Java concepts and it's basically an executable program written with just pure Java code there. Okay, so there are some other programming languages also involved, like HTML, like some user interface languages, but primarily the core is on Java. Now, what you need to understand here is I'll just quickly just walk you through the overview architecture of Pega. So this is just primarily for you to understand how Pega looks like and just a bit of technicality that you just need to be aware of. Okay, so all this is a little bit more technical than more on a business side. But before we jump into the business and the other usages of Pega, you need to just know what this is. Okay, so if you carefully observe here, there are like three main boxes here, as you can see here. The first one is the user interface, which is where you actually log in into the application. And the moment you log in into the application, there has to be a server, right? So just in basic layman's term, so you have to talk to a server the moment you're logging in. This is where you access it from a browser, whether be it Firefox or Chrome or Internet Explorer. All standard browsers are supported by Pega. So you have the user interface here. You log in, you hit something called as an application server, which is where the actual Pega code is deployed, which means that all the Pega proprietary code, whatever development that they have done, all that is put into the server location here. So you hit this particular location, after which you hit the DB and you get the database. Like basically that is the place where you store all the worker object information. So very simple logic here. You have a user interface, pretty obvious. You talk to an application server which will have some standard deployments, which is the Pega proprietary code there, and after which it talks to the database here. Okay, so if you carefully observe here, this is kind of a very overview architecture of how Pega application is. So all those of you who have good technical background, you can probably easily relate to it. But for others, just understand that you have a user interface, you need to have a server, and from server you need to have a DB as well. So this is how the sequence is done in Pega. You have a user interface, you access from a browser, you have something like an application server, after which you hit the DB. Okay, so my intention here is just to take you through some of the standard things that Pega already uses. So I'll just probably give you a walkthrough of the Designer Studio and what is a Designer Studio. I'll talk to you about that. So the moment you hit Pega, you want to log in, you will be provided with a login page, which is after your installation, they will give you a URL. Even after the installation of the personal edition, there will be a URL like this. So this URL is what is used to log in into the application. So you will be having something like a username and password. By default, for every application, there will be something like an admin username and password. So the admin username and password here is administrator@pega.com and install as a password. Or else you can just go for a standard login. So what we will do is we will just use administrator@pega.com and install as a password, which is a standard password. So what we will do primarily here is we will try to understand what happens when you log in, like what is this whole, I'm trying to familiarize you guys with what is this login screen, what all the things here are, right? So what we just did is we just have, this is called as a portal, okay? So we just logged into the system, and this is called as an administrator portal or a developer portal, okay? The right word for this is called as a developer portal. So inside this developer portal, you have like a lot of features, which is, as the word goes itself, this is primarily for developers, okay? So you have all the features or the functionalities which are needed for a developer available here. But if you are a business user, like a manager or a case, someone who works on the case, then you would be presented with a different login, a different screen. So I'll just show you those screens as well so that you can understand how different it would look like. If you say, if I log in as a manager, okay. So if I log in as a manager, it would look like something like this. See, the portal, the entire view here is different, right? So all this is possible because we are actually talking, when I just try to correlate with what I just told you now. We are in the user interface, we are asking for some information from the server, and server is based on how you log in or what type of login you give, it keeps returning you different information. So here the concept is pretty simple, right? You log in as a manager, you're given with manager things that a manager needs, like reports, calendar, giving a summary of what is the stages, where all the cases are, who's working on it, which is past the deadline, and things like that. Okay, what is your team strength and all these things. But if you log in as a developer, that gives you a completely different thing, wherein you design and code, or not code exactly, design all these things here as a developer. So, and you can even design your own portal. So there is, for your own portal, I think there should be something like this here.
So when you say manager, it's basically a user, right? You're talking about a user manager.
Correct, a user manager. So you can even have some very fancy UI which I've built here. This is something like a similar to a Yatra website. So you can put your own things here and design this entire thing completely as per your requirement. Okay. So this is just to show you how flexible Pega is. So based on different operators, it will give you different portals. So as you said, it's a user, that's all. Okay, so same way you log in into a different application, it gives you different space in your privilege and your pre-configurations. It shows you different screens. Okay, this is something that I developed just to show you that we can put up the user interfaces like how you have in a real-time websites, right? No, unfortunately I have not given a logout button for this particular portal, but that's something that's easily configurable, right? So what we'll do, we will just now log in into our application. So I will now, what is of interest and significance to us are primarily the manager portal and the developer portal. So most of our time we would be spending on the developer portal, wherein we will configure different stages and steps, flows, when rules and logic and all that there. Okay. So we can just log in as a developer, which is by default, it's configured here for administrator@pega.com. Okay. Yeah, so keep in mind the wordings are a bit different here. So you need to understand the words whenever people say the designer studio, it's also called as a developer portal, just different wordings that people have for the same thing. So just to recap, designer studio, developer portal, all that refers to the same thing. So all that you need to be aware is you just need to know what is the right approach, which is the right login that you want. Okay, so if you just want to see the reports, you log in as a manager. If you want to configure something, you log in as a developer. Okay, so just a couple of things here. Let's note it down here. Designer Studio is equivalent to developer portal. Okay. All right. So I'll further add the topics that I teach here. I'll keep on adding into this Google Doc. I'll share this doc with you. Make it a bit more neat in some time. All right. So this is the login screen that we have. So the moment you log in into the application, this is the thing that you see. So let's try to make sense of what this is. Okay. So we have at the extreme top left hand side, we have the Pega 7 logo. Keep in mind that you can always customize this as per your application or your customer. So you can put your own organization logo here. Doesn't make a difference. It's pretty straightforward to do that. I'll show you how to do it at a later point of time, but just to let you know that it's customizable. Now on this left hand side, you will see a list of items here. The first one here is a recent tab, which means that very straightforward. All the recent things that you opened in Pega is available here. Okay. Then you have something called as a cases. So in yesterday's session, if you had carefully observed, we were able to translate the flow that we had in the Amazon website. We were able to easily translate that to some business flow. So that business flow, one entire business end-to-end business flow is called as a case. So in our application, we will create cases. So just to let you know that this is the place where you will see cases. Okay, this is just to get you familiarized with this portal, so that because it looks a lot more difficult and cumbersome to understand initially, this is just to get you familiarized there. So all the business case, all the things that you want, that will be actually available under this one. So you can add or create a new case. As of now, it's null. So I'll show you a scenario where we have a real case there. Another one is data. So data is, again, you have data elements. So the thing about Pega is that you have the business logic at one end, you have the data at other end, which means that you are actually separating the data and the business, because tightly coupling these two is not a good software design principle, because if at any point of time I want to decouple or if I want to change something in the data or the business flow, I don't want it to be dependent on each other. So I can have the data separate and the business flow separate, so that it's a lot more flexible and usable for me. Okay, so we have cases, we have data, wherein case is where you have the business flow, data is where you have a separate data entity wherein you will store the information. Now coming here to the App Explorer, this is a little bit more technical, which means that you have the class structures here in Pega. So a couple of things that you will get familiarized over the course of time is that Pega is, instead of calling flow or the properties, things, you actually put all that into one bucket called as a rule. So Pega is also known as like a rule-based engine. What you need to understand here is that we can have multiple things put it into one particular basket which has some specific functionality. So probably just to make things a bit more clear, so we just saw a case where we have the business flow configured there. Okay, and we have data, wherein we have the data elements. Okay, then now we are looking at classes. Now we are looking at trying to look at what is a rule. Okay, so just the literal word itself, a rule, what does it mean? It means that it will achieve some, it is supposed to do some particular function, right? So a rule is probably, just to put it in a very just probably put it more clearly, rule is something like a logic or a predefined configuration which when invoked executes or achieves that particular objective. So in software terms, our objective could be to get the data from a database. Okay. So, so what do we need for that? We need a rule for that. Okay, so we know what is the logic. So we just put a rule and it will get the data from a database for us. Another one is to store the data, we need a property. Okay, so what is a property? That is again also called as a rule, because the rule will be that store only integers in that. Okay, it's like a constraint or a limitation, like something like a validation there, saying that store only integer. Okay, or text, something there, whatever it is. That is again configured as a rule because there is a predefined logic there saying that do only this. Okay, so whenever you have a predefined logic, okay, to achieve some particular objective, we call it as a rule in Pega. Okay, so a predefined logic to achieve some particular objective is called as a rule in Pega. So it's a very simple thing. So you have different types of predefined logics there. Okay, so as I was telling here, so I can just tell you here that different types of predefined logic, okay, so which is equivalent to saying that we have different rules, types of rules. Okay, I hope you understood this. So you have a rule which is nothing but a predefined logic to achieve some particular objective. You have different types of predefined logic, that which means that you can have different types of rules. So again, so we'll over the course of time you will understand what are the different types of rules that are available. So to get data from a database, we have a rule, and the rule is called as a report definition. Okay, most of the names are very business friendly names. So the moment you hear the name, you'll understand what it is. Okay, this is called as a report definition. To store the data, we have a property. So it is, the rule itself is called as a property rule. Okay, so this is called as a property rule. Okay, so another good use case for this, another good example that I can give is to show the user, or to present the user with a screen. Present the data to user, we need a screen. Okay, this is called as a, that is also done by a rule. So which means that what data do you want to show, where will you configure that, all that is done in a rule. That rule is called as a section rule. Okay, and we just, another good example, for different users we want different logic, for different users we want different screens actually. So we call that as a portal rule. Different screens. Okay, for different users, different screens on login or for working. This is also defined in a rule, and this rule is called as a portal rule. Okay, so I think the portal is it's a pretty common name, right? That you can even understand even in business terms also. So this is at the overview, this is what a rule is actually. So the rule is supposed to achieve some predefined configuration, predefined logic it's supposed to execute, and we have different types of it. Your expertise lies on how good you understand and use these use these rules. How flexible or how comfortable you are in this to learn about the rule. That's the whole concept of learning Pega. So when I say learning Pega, you're actually learning the functionalities of different rules. You will need to know where and how to use which rule. Okay. So learning Pega is equivalent to understanding rules, knowing where and how to use them. That's all your thing about Pega.
How many rules are there?
Yeah, so that's the next thing. So there are more than about 50 types of rules. So if you come here to this records tab here, you will find all the list of rules here. So this is all like, there are categories of the rules so that it becomes a lot more easy. I'll just to reiterate, these categories have no functional significance. These are just groups so that as a developer, it's easy for me to understand and use it a lot more easier. Like for my feasibility, that's the only reason this categorization is done. But the actual rules inside this. So if I say user interface, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about eight rules are there. 8 types of rules are there. Under technical, again, you have about, see about, I think about 10 to 15 are there. So the number of rules are easily above 50. In later in a very advanced courses, you will even learn how to create your own types of rules as well. Okay. So as of now, at least in this course, you will easily touch upon at least about 30 to 40 types of rules as part of your application development. So you will get familiarized with all the types of rules. So to answer your question, the number of rules is above 50. Don't have an exact number because with every release, Pega may add different types of rules. So you just need to get yourself accustomed, and you just need to keep updating yourself. All right. So if you see here again under the process, you will find the flow. Flow is also a type of rule. What does the type of rule? What does this flow type of rule do? It will just have the way you have it, a business flow. You have a start shape, end shape. Like if most of you, if you guys have seen Visio or any other flow diagrams, this would actually show you the exact flow diagram here. So let me just open one standard flow here. Just a bit slow, just bear with me. So yeah, so as I was just telling you here, yeah, let me just show you this. So you see here, you have again the start shape, you have some different colors here. So you can actually add, all these have different meanings. So this is like an automated step. And this is the green color is where a user will be working on it. And this is like the end shape here. Okay, so we'll have a detailed study about all these different types of rules. But our intention here is primarily just to get you familiarized with this portal and coming to that. So if you come here to this application explorer, now the question is, obviously we need to make things a bit more complicated here because you wanted to achieve a lot more function. You wanted to achieve a lot more maturity. So because of that reason, each of these rules can have some scope. Okay, so this rule can have some flavors. So we'll talk about different rule flavors. So, what I mean by flavor is that it can have some specific aroma or like some specific type of it. Okay, subtype or something like that. So as to where it is applicable, like who all can access it. Okay, what is the security of it, which is the first thing that you need to understand. Security, then is it applicable, which is like what I mean by that is what is the scope of it, then is it correct in the current context, okay, then you can have is it in the correct, you have again versioning control also, same way. If any of you working in GitHub or any of the other programming languages, you will have some versioning control. So you can have one version, like a release specific rule also you can have. Okay, so we can have the right word for that is release specific, which is like version for each release. So you are going for 1 month release, like say for example in July you're going to make a release. You can put that rule in that particular release. Okay. Later on in the next version, you can just, next release, you can ignore it because it's already gone in the previous release. Okay. So you can have different attributes, okay, for that particular rule. So those are called as like those, when I say applicability or scope, primarily here we are talking about the class. So in Pega, this is also, whenever I have any rule, I can say that where is it applicable, to which that is defined by a class. So all that class is actually available to you inside this application explorer here. So when I say I have the entire class structure here, which means that I can have an organization level scope. If I want some particular rule to be available at the organization level, I can put it at the organization level class. When I want it to be available only within my particular business flow alone, I can put it in my case. So we will talk about that, like, just for now, understand that the application explorer will show you the rules categorized by the class structure, which means that where all it is applicable. That's what it will show you, right? Okay, so the records here, again, if you see here, this is like categorized, showing the rules categorized by its by a category, so that it's easier as a developer for you to understand and see what it is. So you can see all the list of rules here. So entire thing is available to you under the records tab. Now there's something called as a private here, which is nothing but telling the system that I have some checkout. So if you guys have known what is an SVN repository or any other repository systems, you can basically in the backend, each of this rule is nothing but a code that is getting generated. Like, although you as a developer are just dragging and dropping things and designing it, but in the backend it's creating some code. Okay, so what happens, like, if you want to merge or you are kind of developing something, but after some time you decide that, okay, it's I'm done with my development and I want to push it to production. So what you need to do is you need to merge it with the main code base, and then only you will push it to the production. So that merging, before you merge, you have it in your private copy. That is actually available. That is what this means. So this private shows you that you have things in your personal repository. Once you, which probably you're working on. Once you're done with developing that, you can merge it with the main code base. Favorite is, again, if you have a lot of, you're working in a real-time enterprise application, you may be working on multiple rules. So you might be touching on the same rule over and over again. So you can have like a shortcut, or you can make a rule as a favorite, which means that it will just be available just to you for that, so that you can easily just come and pick it up from here rather than going and searching for it elsewhere. Okay, it's like a shortcut you can create and keep it here. Alright, so I hope all of you understood what these different tabs are for. Don't worry if you're not able to remember that. All these concepts, you just need to grasp it so that you will understand what each of these tabs are for. They all have some specific functionality, and once you start building your application, you will just get familiar with it very fast. Alright. The next thing that we have to see in this Designer Studio here, or the developer portal, is that at the extreme bottom you will find some debugging tools here. This is all the various debugging tools that are available. So at the extreme right hand side you will even see what is a version of Pega. So it says it's 7.1.9. So it just shows you that this is the particular version, that's all. And here on this side you will find, if you click on this, it will take you to PDN website. Again, these are like the different debugging tools that are available. We will talk about these at a later point of time, like you see what is the performance statistics. Pega also has some alert mechanism wherein if it sees some anomalies in the system, it will throw an alert. Okay. Again, you have tools like Tracer, Clipboard, Live UI. All these, this extreme bottom end, all these things are for debugging. Okay. Now let's go to the top again. So we saw the logo here. Right next to it, you will find this Designer Studio name here. If you click on that, so you will have this option called as, you will be given with this menu item here. So all these would give you like different landing pages. So if I were to just quickly click on this one, it will show you the entire application structure here, which just shows you, like, it just gives you different information about the particular application. So Similarly, it's just categorized into different layers here. If I click on this one, as of now, we just saw one called as a rule set stack, which means that what is the stack of your application. If you want to see some standard APIs that can be used for development, you can see that under this UI gallery. So if you just click on this, it will show you some good features which are achievable using Pega. Those are actually loaded here. So carefully observe here. You can see here a shopping cart. So this is something like for an e-commerce application. This is like a sample thing that you can use. You see here you have the option to add to cart. Click on that one and it adds to the cart. You can add additional items here. So yeah, you see here I can add these additional items here and just get added here. Right? So what you need to understand primarily here is you have this landing page which shows you the list of different functionalities or features that are available in the application. Right? So any doubts here so far? Hope it's clear. I think pretty straightforward stuff here. If there are any doubts, do call out. Right. So the next thing here is you have the application stack here, and we saw what was this, all the things about particular landing page. So there are a lot of landing pages available. Over the course of time, we will touch upon some of them. And believe me, there are people who've been working on this working in Pega for about 4 or 5 years, and even then people would not have touched upon all the landing pages here. So there are a lot of features that are provided by Pega, and those are all accessible from this landing page. Now here you will find what is the application menu, which means that what is the current application that you've built on. So if you click on this, it will give you an overview of the application skin, the application itself. You as a developer, you can work on multiple applications at the same time. You can switch the application. You can switch something called as a work pool, which is like a pool of work objects that you're currently focused on developing. So don't bother about it now. Just know that this is just giving you different flexibility or different features to mod or play around in the same application. Okay. Then again, if you click on this launch, this launch will give you the ability, the flexibility from a developer portal to launch how a user or an end manager will be seeing the portal. So if I just click on this, it will give me the view of the manager portal actually. You see here Pega Case Manager portal. So the good flexibility of this is, as a developer, you can keep developing, and if you want to see how it, because at the end of the day, whatever you're going to do is going to be used by the managers and the users. So you can always just make use of this functionality here. You can just see things here and just pick it up directly from this one. So whatever you develop, you can just quickly see how it is visible to the manager, what is the impact that it has made, and then what you can do, you can just tweak it further to make it the user experience better. Okay, so the intention here is you click on the launch button, you have ability to see the different portals that are available. Okay, now here is what a good, a strong functionality that is available. You have the create button. So here you can create the work objects. You can create different rules. So all the different rules are all available here. You can click on this create and you can create a new rule. So I have the option to create a property here. So just to show you that we have the option to create the property. So as you can see here, this is the standard login wherein it will not allow me to do anything. We'll have to create our own operators, only then it will allow me to do that. But till then we have this option to create the particular rule. Okay. Again, at this extreme end you have the search bar wherein you can search for rules, you can search for work objects to get the data. That's all. Okay. And here again, this is a private, which is very similar to what I showed you here, which is for seeing all the rules that you are currently developing on. So you can just see the same things available here and here. And at this side, you will have resources. Here, the important thing about this Pega 7 help, which is going to point you to a help directory. And in this help directory, you will have like a lot of things here. You can search through. You can, whenever you have doubt about anything, suppose you have doubt about property, you just search here, and it would give you all the information about the property. Okay, and you will even get related information about different functionalities, how to do it, why is the system behaving this way, all those things. It's like your help system here. That's available under this resources. Now the extreme right hand side, you will find again the under the administrator tab here. You will find the profile, preferences, operator. So these are all details, and even the log off button. So all these are details and information about the particular operator that you have logged in as. So if you want to see more details about my particular operator that I have logged in, which is a standard out of the box operator. So here the word, I just clicked on profile. Yep, so if you see here, this is the name, ID, all those different things about this particular operator. Okay, so what is the calendar, what is the time zone, it's a locale, and all this information. So you have the log off button here as well. So you click on log off and it logs out there. Okay. So this is like a quick overview about the Designer Studio. So that the reason why I touched upon this is so that you understand how to actually log into the application. So you can get all the required information that you log in as a developer. You can get all the information that you need from the online help. You can even go ahead and create or start building your own application by just logging in and getting started here. Okay. So in order to start a new application, all that you need to do is click on this new application, which is like our first exercise that we will be going ahead with, which actually requires all of you to have your application. But I have it already pre-configured. The steps are already set here. I think once I get the confirmation from Ashok, I will share the application exercise document with all of you. So you see this is a standard exercise document here. Okay, so our first thing is to start building an application. So we will understand how an end-to-end flow in Pega works. Okay, so this is the first step for us, start building an application. So as you can see here, we can log in as administrator@pega.com and then do the details here. All right. Okay, so see here, these are the steps that we need to go through. So this is step 1, 2, 3, and all. So it's like very illustratively we have given it here. So let's actually, we can start doing in any one of your systems. I just need a volunteer so that we can actually get started with an application. But if there are any doubts, or if you just want to just take a step back, recollect whatever you've learned, I'll share this document with you in a bit. Like we'll add all this design as well. So as you can see here, there are like I'll even give you good links on PDN, which you can just use to refer. There is a good platform architecture and technical brief is available, which is the basis for this image that I've built here. So another important thing that you need to, another word that you need to be aware is called as OOTB. Okay, so I think in Pega world you'll keep coming across this particular word. It means out of the box. Okay, this is the short for the word there, out of the box. Okay, which means that which is shipped, which this feature, a feature or functionality, shipped with Pega, shipped up functionality already present in Pega. Okay, so this is what it means. Whenever I say out of the box, it is already present in the product. We just need to reuse them or just extend them, probably customize that a bit and tweak it. Okay. Alright, so if time permits, like actually we have sufficient time if you guys don't have any doubts. We can actually just start building a base application so that you can just start playing around with the login. You can understand how the application is. After which we will probably take a step back and we will slowly start exploring different types of rules and then create the case and then move forward. Okay. So these are all the things that we will be doing. So at the end of the day, you're just actually touching upon different types of um, rules actually. So as I was telling you earlier, learning Pega is all about understanding the rules, knowing where and how to use them. Okay. So probably knowing what, where and how to use them should be the right thing. Right. So okay, so let's probably then I'll need okay, okay. I think has anyone else apart from Rasul having the application, the software ready? Have you guys done an installation or something? Has anyone else done it? So just probably let me know. Okay, I think probably none of you have done that. So what is absolutely a prerequisite is so see, you've already requested for the software. So once you get it, immediately install the software, and after which we can get started with the exercise. What the mode in which we would operate is we would do it on any one of your systems, and then it will be exactly the same step. So that we can probably sequentially see if one person, like everyone can just do it one day at a time. Okay. Alright, so other thing that probably since we don't have the application, so this is the architecture here. So again, if you take a look at the URL here, just probably just want to give you some additional information here. As I was telling you, this is where the user interface is. You talk to a server, then you get the information from the DB and then you put it. Now, by default, the personal edition software is already coming with all these already loaded. The database, application server, all that is already loaded into the system. So we have, Pega has a very strong design there. They have a good thread management, some core engine functionality, how the backend code is generated, all that is configured there. So there's nothing for us as developers to be aware, to be concerned about. It's already taken care. Now if you carefully look at the URL that we try to hit here, just one more additional piece of information, I think it's a lot for you guys to take in today. But if you take a look at this is a URL that I hit. So the local host is actually the server name that we hit. That's after which you have the port number, and this is a PR web PR servlet. This is the actual Pega provided, or the word I should use is out of the box WAR file, which is like the proprietary Pega software, which has all the information there. And at the end, you will see a lot of jumbled words, which is actually the security auth token. So just you don't need to worry about this one. It's the security auth token. So just for your information, just letting you know this is available. All right. Any doubts on this so far? Anything that any doubts? Anything?
Rahul, Rasul here. Both these ports are varies from manager and developer as well as the tester.
No. The port and all is same, because the port is nothing but pointing to that particular JVM, right? So the port will be exactly same. There will be no difference there. So you hit any port at the same port, you log in as a different operator. It gives you different portal.
So we are going to use the same port for the different portals.
Correct. The URL will be same. There will be no difference in the URL, which means that even the port and that URL will be also same. All that you do is you just log in with different credentials. It shows you different screens. Right?
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Is anyone having any doubts? Just want to know if you're all able to catch with the pace. So generally in the initial classes we will go in a very minimal pace. So so that all of you get it. But if you're all comfortable, I might just without actually informing you, I'll just slightly pick up the pace. But if you feel that it's going, you're not able to catch up on the pace, just feel free to just call out and stop me there. Okay. All right. So what we did today, primarily, I'll just recap whatever we did. We did a tour of the Designer Studio. Okay. Took a tour of Designer Studio. We understood how an overview of Pega architecture. Okay. So when I say overview of Pega architecture, we have a browser which is a login actually, Chrome or Firefox. It hits an application server. Okay. This is for your information. This is how almost all the applications work. All the software applications work in the same manner. Same way Pega also works. Again, after which you have the DB, your database. Then we understood what is a rule. Okay. Right. So we understood what are rule flavors. Then I think, yeah, so those are things, primarily the code things that we understood in today's session. I think we have to yet.
Rahul, can you please repeat that rule flavors thing? I think it's not very clear.
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than what I'm just presenting here. So over the course of time, it will become more clear. But let me just repeat that again. It's a good thing that whenever you're not clear, just call it out. So we understood that a rule is supposed to be a predefined logic to achieve some particular objective. Now, the same rule, do you want it to work? Do you want it to be applicable everywhere? Do you want it to be at a global level, or do you want it at a specific operator, or do you want it for a specific case or a specific flow alone? So if you want to tweak such things, that is, whether you want that logic to be available globally, or do you want that logic to be available only for some people, or for some business flow alone, or for some business case alone, then you can add this additional attributes to the rule, which I would call as a flavor to the rule. Okay, so the same thing, a good example that I can give you is the very common analogy people use is, like, suppose you have shape. Okay, so shape is like very common thing, right? So you can say that circle is an attribute of this, like a flavor of that particular shape, right? So circle is a shape, and but shape is not a circle, right? So you understand that difference. So same way, even in rule in Pega also, so you can have a particular rule here which is supposed to perform some particular function. So you can have some attribute to it, some specific functionality to that. So it will do some specific logic, but it's available only for some people alone. So another good example that I can give you here is probably a more apt example here was, if I have a bike, okay, so I can have something like a Yamaha bike. Again, within that I can have a 150cc, 200cc, so different flavors of that, right? So again, for this 150cc, I can have some specific this is the output, right, for that particular this one. So I can have the rule at this level. Okay, I can have that this particular rule, I can have it to have some, it will be available only for this 200cc. So this 200cc, I can have some additional output or some additional logic or something like here. So that additional logic or the additional thing that I put for that particular 200cc alone, which is not available for this 150cc. Okay, so this, what do we call this? This is called a separate attribute, right? So you're giving an additional thing for that specific functionality alone. So such kind of things that you want to incorporate to a rule that you can achieve, those are called as rule attributes or rule flavors. Okay, so I can have a rule at this level, okay, but if I want to have it customized for some specific functionality, I can do that as well, like some additional attribute. Okay, so
Yeah, thank you, Rahul.
yeah, that's kind of makes sense, right? So just understand it that way for now, that you want to have it for a specific functionality or a additional attribute that makes it lot more specific, process specific. Okay, so in Pega terms or in software terms, the best way for you to understand or say that is the scope, security, what is a release specific. So instead of I say 150 cc or 200 cc, here I would say that is it which release is it going on? Is it going on January release or a Feb release or May or June, whatever. Maybe month wise you have a release, or you can have a year wise release. So those are what will decide the particular attributes or flavors of that particular rule. Okay, just making the rule a lot more flexible, that's all for you to understand. That's a simple thing there. Okay, so those are the couple of things that we learned in today's session.
Rahul, if a particular rule doesn't change over, say, June release versus October release, you don't have to change anything, right?
So you have the, I mean, over the course of time, you have the ability to change that rule as well. So suppose in this release, a very good example that I can give you is, the rule logic is that give, so I'll just give you here, the rule logic is, default logic for this rule is give 15% discount, okay, for corporates. That is the logic here. Now, now this is for, say, for example, in January, this is what the business guys told us to do. So we developed this rule and we gave this logic here. Now, after some time, over the managers who are actually monitoring things in production think that, hey, we don't think that this is yielding sufficient returns. So, or maybe if they think that this is pretty good, we want to give it for the normal public also, like the other people also. So in March they come to us and they tell that we want it changed. So you can, what you can do is you can use that same rule and you can update that particular rule and make it like give, say for example, they say to increase it and give 20% discount for general public, then you can do that as well. So what I did here is I changed the same rule, like basically I did not update the same rule, like I changed that rule for this March release and gave it 20% discount. So what I will have is something like a version 1. So this is version 1 for me, and this is the same rule. I have something like a version 2. Okay, so this is where the versioning control, these are all different attributes of the same rule. So it's the same rule in effect, same rule. When I say same rule, it's the same rule name actually. The name of the rule will be same. But you have different versions of the rule. So you have version 1, version 2. The reason why we are having version 1, different version for that rule is, assuming that I did not have it, look at the other side. If I did not have that version, and I just went and updated on rule v1 itself, okay? And for some weird reason or some unknown reason, if everything goes down or system has some problem, how do you revert it back? Okay, so in order to give like a backup plan, that is the reason you want to go for different versions. That's also an attribute for the same, so for the rule. So another good thing is you have a proper history also on how the rule has evolved over time. What was the version 1 of the rule? What was the version 2 of the rule? How it has changed over time? How the business thought process has changed? Like where they have yielded more returns? All those things also you can keep in track. Does it make sense? Is it clear?
Thank you, Rahul. You sure?
Yeah. All right. So this is like, these are all different attributes or the same logic itself, right? Like you have a lot of flexibility that you can give into that particular rule. But keep in mind that all this flexibility will comes in Pega with its own overhead. So although all this is available, you need to be very cautious when you use it. You need to use your judgment to see if it is actually worth to make use of which flexibility at which point of time and all that. So those are things that you will learn about the rule, how to use the rule and all that. Okay. All right. So I think those are things that I wanted to cover in today's session with all of you. I just want to do the exercise, but I think since the application is not there, so for those of you who have the application, get it ready for tomorrow's class. I would probably do the screen share with that person, and we would be doing the application. We would be doing the application build. So we will kickstart the exercise in tomorrow's session. This is the first tab that we will be doing. Probably you guys can take a look at it. I'll share it with all of you once Ashok gives the go ahead. So this is the first, I'll share this document also, and even this particular image also I'll be sharing it, okay, even these additional links. So another important thing that you need to be aware in Pega is the more you do it, the more exercise that you get hands-on, the more better you're going to be, okay. So yeah, so that's all that is there to it. Let me know if there are any doubts. Otherwise, I think we can call it a day. Okay. All right, everyone. Thank you for your time. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much.
Rahul, one second, Senthil.
Yeah, Senthil.
After installing the software, the user ID and password will be same across for all the installation, or they will be sending whether we will be configuring the user ID and password.
No, the default user ID and password which I just called out here.
Yes.
You see administrator@pega.com and install. It's common, like same way in DBF Scott Tiger, right? Same way.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.